That felt good, right? So today I want to tell you why Thar owners are built different. The typical Thar owner's thoughts reveal fascinating insights into human behavior. At its core, it's an inflated sense of self importance. This isn't necessarily clinical narcissism, but rather a heightened sense of entitlement that becomes evident in their driving behavior. Have you ever observed a typical Thar owner at a traffic signal? If they stop, that is. The subtle engine revving, the inching forward, the implicit message that their time is somehow more valuable than others. Their low impulse control and high sensation seeking behavior is particularly interesting because it's not just about sudden lane changes or aggressive overtaking. It's about a fundamental need for mental stimulation, a deep psychological need for constant sensory input. It's the same reason that makes some women binge watch murder mystery shows on YouTube, except here, Thar owners demand their own daily dose of adrenaline on public roads.
बेटी के रे तारे पिछवाड़े में तो धो लिकड़ जाएगा कभी बहम पाल रहे हो बेटा.
Research has shown time and time again that higher testosterone levels lead to more aggressive driving behaviors. But what's fascinating is how this manifests specifically in Thar owners. For them, it's not just about speed, it's about dominance. Watch how they position their vehicle over the lane marking, or how they maintain uncomfortably close distances to vehicles ahead. These aren't just bad driving habits, they're subtle power plays. Hormonal responses translated into driving behaviors. Women have their time of the month, Thar owners have their time of the day. The Thar, with its commanding height and military inspired design, becomes more than just a mode of transport. For them, it's a throne on wheels. This choice reveals a deep seated need to feel elevated, both literally and figuratively above other road users. When they customize their vehicle with additional LED bars or massive bull bars, it's their cute little attempt at building a physical manifestation of their desired social status. Now, let's talk about cognitive biases. It's a beautiful day outside. Cold morning breeze, birds singing. You wear your sunglasses and head out. After a while, you notice a smudge on your sunglasses. Everything you see looks a bit blurry and weird because of that smudge, right? Cognitive bias is like that smudge in your brain. It makes you see things in a way that isn't always true or fair. Sometimes it makes you think things are better than they are, or worse than they are, or even that everyone thinks just like you. These brain smudges can make it really hard for you to understand what's really going on, just like how it's really hard for a Thar driver to understand lane discipline. The cognitive biases displayed by Thar owners offer a fascinating window into how the human mind can construct an entirely different reality on the road. The fundamental attribution error plays out like a perfectly scripted drama in their daily driving. When another driver takes a few extra seconds at a green light, it's because they're incompetent or shouldn't be on the road. But when our Thar owner checks their phone at a signal, well, they're just responding to an urgent message. There is great confidence in their belief that their Thar can handle any situation, almost as if the laws of physics apply differently to them. Watch them cut through waterlogged roads with a conviction that would even make Moses proud. They believe they possess superior vehicle control abilities. The fact that their Thar has off-road capabilities somehow translates to absolute immunity from basic traffic principles on city roads. Their hostile attribution bias is like a lens through which they view every interaction in the traffic as potentially antagonistic. Everyone is out there to get me. A normal car maintaining its lane and driving at the speed limit isn't following the rules. No. The Thar owner's Sherlock mind automatically deduces the very real fact that the driver is deliberately trying to block their path. The two-wheeler behind me is honking at someone else. Let me just quickly get out and display some unnecessary intimidation. This bias transforms regular traffic situations into personal theaters of war, requiring immediate and aggressive responses. The self-serving bias manifests in colorful ways. Successfully squeezing through a tight spot, that's pure skill. Scratching another vehicle while doing so, clearly the other vehicle was poorly parked. This bias creates a mental scoreboard where they're always winning, regardless of the actual outcome. When they manage to bully their way through traffic, it's because they're expert drivers. When they cause a traffic jam in a narrow lane due to their oversized modifications, suddenly it's the city's fault for not making wider roads. These cognitive biases work together to create a nearly impenetrable shield of self-justification. Each bias reinforces the others, creating a mental ecosystem where their actions are always justified, their skills are always superior, and any problems are always someone else's fault. It's not just about being right, it's about being incapable of being wrong. The compensation mechanisms displayed by Thar owners are textbook examples of psychological projection through material objects. They don't view their vehicle as a means to get from point A to point B. No. To them, it's an extension of their identity, carefully preserved to project an image of dominance and capability. Notice how the modifications rarely focus on functional improvements. Instead, they lean heavily towards visual intimidation, unnecessarily raised suspension, aggressive bumper design, and those infamous light bars that could illuminate a small stadium. These aren't practical choices, they're psychological armor for their inner demons. What's particularly fascinating is how this vehicle choice and modification pattern compensates for perceived inadequacies in other life areas. It's as if each additional modification is filling a void. Maybe a challenging work situation, personal insecurities, or social pressures. The Thar becomes their equalizer, their way of saying, I might not be the king in my office or my house, but on the road, I am in charge. The might makes right mentality of Thar owners is a belief system that operates on an almost medieval principle. The bigger the vehicle, the more rights you have. Watch them approach a narrow lane. There is absolutely zero consideration about who arrived first or who has the right of way. Their logic is beautifully simple. Thar big, go first. It's a fundamental belief that physical dominance equals moral authority. Their strong belief in personal exceptionalism is also particularly interesting. It's as if purchasing a Thar comes with an unwritten belief upgrade. Traffic rules are for people who can't handle their vehicles like I can. I am simply the greatest driver of all time. You'll see this in action at every U-turn and no entry sign. The prohibition simply does not register as applicable to them. A perception that rules apply to others but not themselves. Speed limits, those are for less capable drivers. One way, more like suggestions for the normies. In their worldview, they've earned the right to interpret traffic rules differently through their vehicle choice and perceived superior capabilities. This worldview creates a self-reinforcing bubble where every successful violation of traffic norms further confirms their beliefs. Each time they force their way through traffic or park wherever they please without consequences, it strengthens their conviction that they truly are exceptional. It's beyond entitlement. It's a carefully constructed reality where their actions always make perfect sense, at least to them. The us versus them mentality in our Thar owners would make 10,000-year-old tribal societies very proud. Their brotherhood is stronger than the family WhatsApp groups. Post a picture of your Thar stuck in a ditch, and within 5 minutes, 5 other Thar owners will arrive, not necessarily to help, but definitely to take Instagram stories. Their solidarity in defending each other's road behavior would make defense lawyers jealous. It's like they're running a cult where the initiation ritual is signing up for a loan they can't afford. The way they look at other vehicles is also pure comedy. That Swift is just a toy car. That Jimny is practically a rickshaw. Their social identity is tied to the vehicle culture, and anyone who is not a part of that culture is not cool. If you're not with us, you're against us. The social learning patterns of Thar owners are like a masterclass in monkey see, monkey do. Except here, the monkeys are watching way too many action movies. Their behavior modeling comes straight from a cocktail of Fast and Furious films, local Instagram reels, and that one cousin who became a road legend by basically turning his Thar into a mobile disco on wheels. This is how new Thar owners evolve. Week 1. Regular driving. Week 2. Spots another Thar with a light bar, immediately feels inadequate. Week 3. Installs enough LED lights to be visible from space. It's like a domino effect of bad decisions. Each modification validated by their peer group's enthusiastic comments. The culture factors at play are even more fascinating. If vehicle choice moonlights as a personality trait, the Thar has somehow become the four-wheeled equivalent of a gym transformation post. The marketing genius of positioning it as a masculine vehicle has worked so well that some owners probably shower with engine oil just to maintain their macho image. Social media has turned aggressive driving into some sort of an aspirational skill. Those YouTube videos of Thars climbing dividers? They're watching those videos during office meetings. Every Thar owner secretly believes they're starring in their own action movie where traffic rules are just optional side quests. Behind every aggressively modified Thar and each instance of intimidating road behavior lies some chaotic human psychology that deserves our understanding, if not our approval. When you see that Thar approaching in your rearview mirror, remember, you're not just seeing a vehicle, you're witnessing a manifestation of years of accumulated insecurities and abnormal social conditioning. That person behind the wheel might be fighting battles we know nothing about. Perhaps it's the middle manager who feels powerless at work, finding his only sense of control on his daily commute. Maybe it's someone who grew up feeling invisible, now ensuring they're impossible to ignore with their vehicle's commanding presence. Or possibly it's just someone caught in an endless loop of peer validation where aggressive driving isn't a choice but a requirement for belonging. The real tragedy here is not their behavior. It's the fact that they're trapped in a cycle they might not even recognize. Each successful intimidation on the road, each Instagram like on their modification post, each nod of approval from their peer group, these all serve to cement behaviors that ultimately isolate them further from the broader community of road users. When you feel that surge of anger at their behavior, remember, their actions often stem from a place of profound vulnerability masked by the artificial strength their vehicle provides. They say the loudest roars come from the deepest wounds. So the next time a Thar tries to muscle its way through traffic, take a deep breath and let them pass. Not because they deserve the right of way, but because your peace of mind deserves preservation. Their urgency to prove something to the world isn't your burden to challenge. After all, the true measure of maturity isn't in standing your ground against such behavior, it's in understanding that someone else's unresolved issues aren't your responsibility to correct. Let them savor their illusion, their moment of victory. Your ability to understand and step aside doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise enough to choose your battles and emotionally intelligent enough to recognize that some people's road rage is just their pain finding its voice through a modified exhaust pipe.